Hi, everyone. This is Diego Ochoa, Superintendent of the Hollister School District, and I want to thank you for joining us in this really great meeting. It is the Hollister School District Board and Community Workshop specifically for Mays Middle School. My name is Diego Ochoa. I am the superintendent, and I want to let our Spanish-speaking families know that there is a link in the description to this meeting in Spanish. Así que quiero informarles a los padres hispanohablantes que hagan clic en la descripción de esta junta para oír esta junta en español. Tenemos traductora que está en vivo ahorita um, traduciendo esta junta para que puedan entender y oír todo en español. So thank you to all the parents who are here with us. And with that, I am going to pass it on over to our board president, Mrs. Jan Grist.
Hi, I'm Jan Grist. I am the board president this year. Our other board member is Carla Torres de Luna, who is also our clerk on the board of trustees this year. I was responsible and very proud to have been one of the teachers that opened Mays Middle School in the September 1994. There were 14 of us. We had a little over 400 students. Mays has gone from a configuration of grades 6 through 8, and sometimes we were grades just 7 through 8. We got as high as 1,000 students at one point in time. And we are, slowly going down, and hopefully and Superintendent Ochoa will have to give me the exact numbers. I think we're hoping to get to about 500 or so. Is that our ideal?
Mhm.
Yes, and which will be perfect. Will
Yes.
be absolutely perfect for middle school. We To say that I first I was a teacher at Rancho, so to say that I love Mays would be an understatement. Um, Considering that I helped bring it about. I taught language arts and history and different electives, and I taught not many sixth graders, mostly seventh and eighth graders. So this is your meeting. Okay, this is where you ask Carla and I, and don't be bashful. This is where you ask us, hey, what can you do about this? How can we change this? I've noticed that. And this is solely what we as board members, because this is your voice now. And I don't want anybody to be shy or bashful. We're here to be constructive, to if you've seen problems, and no, nothing's perfect. I know Diana, and I know that uh, Mrs. Veltri, and I know that I'm going to mess up her last name. Help me with her. Hmm?
Kabibi?
Yes, yes. I know that they are working hard and work well as a team. But, nothing is perfect. So feel free. Diana wants to make everything as, she wants to help. And I know that Mr. Ochoa wants to help. So please tell us. Again, don't be bashful. And let's have at it. So look at when you're talking to us, think about the outside of the school and how you think it should be improved. When we did this with RO Hardin, we got some really good feedback about what they want us to do about the front of the school. Um, Talk about and we're really focusing on next year. Okay, next year we're going to be back to regular school. So think about the the drop off pickup. Um, think about the change in classes and just like a normal school year. interaction with teachers, interaction via email, phone calls, interaction with administration. So things like that, okay, so that we can do better and we can have a better situation for you. So this is your time and don't be bashful. So go ahead, guys. Ask away. You want me to call on?
If I could, can I add,
Sure.
Jan? I think I want to just tell everybody, thank you for being here. And
Oh, yeah.
I actually envision this as a conversation, with you all. And we really want to hear. And like Jan said, obviously you could ask questions, but also more comments, right? More feedback, more
Mhm.
your thoughts and opinions and the good and the not so the things that need improvement, right? And I think too, it's important to let you know that this is a goal that the board and Superintendent Ochoa have had about interacting with parents at each school. So know that we take this really serious and we're really excited to hear you. So just see it like a conversation.
Yeah, this is we want to learn from you. You know, this is a learning experience and the board wants to learn from you. And we're doing this at every school site. And because of the Brown Act, we're only allowed to have two board members at a time. So this is our second one. The first one I did with R.O. Hardin and Elizabeth Martinez was my partner. And the second or the third one, I'm not involved. I can't remember who the two board members are, but they will do it. And we're going to go to each site. Okay, so this is what it's all about. Hi, Don.
So I have some input.
Sure.
So when you're driving to go to parent pickup and you can only fit 15 cars in that circle. Well, when you're going on when you come in, of course, you're going to turn right in there. That's the only way you can. Well, when you're in line right there, well, when full school is in session, usually cars all line up right there, but they're not going into that circle. They're stopped there and their kids are coming to them. So there was always so if I would get there like a half an hour before so I could get in the circle. But sometimes what would happen is the cops would come and make everybody move. And he would even make the people move that were turning right into the parking lot. So you don't just have 20 kids that are being picked up. You have a lot more kids that are being picked up. So I don't know what can be what you can do to make it better, but that's always been a major issue. And the problem is the cops they don't come every day, but when they do come, if you're turning right into that parking lot, you're not going to get your kid. You have to go drive somewhere, go turn around, and then you have to come completely back up the street to come turn around and then go. So you're turning right into there. So I don't know. I don't know what
about the circular pickup.
Yes. Yeah. The place where you're supposed to go pick up your kids.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't, but I mean, there is a lot of people that do. And like I said, I never had the problem because I get there early, but I see it I would see it all the time. Cops come in like 5 minutes before the bell's going to ring and move everybody that has been lined up waiting to turn in there because they have nowhere to go. And then they have to figure out how they're going to get back to get their kid.
Well,
so
I know when I had that duty, I would ask the cars to go all the way around the circle. Okay. And then the kids walk all the way around the circle because we can't have children running across the circle if somebody's going to get hit.
Yeah. No one would run across. This is where the cars are all in completely the circle, but there's the cars have to go through for the next people that are in the road to come in is what I'm saying.
Well, I understand. So it's a kind of I'm not going to make excuses. It's not good.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not going to say it's good. Um, I will say uh, that the land that if you're facing Marguerite Mays, the land
Yeah.
to the right, and I don't know, has that been approved to be built yet? Did they get their permits, Mr. Ochoa?
Yeah, you're referring to the project that if you're driving from Sunny Slope Elementary on Memorial Drive
Mm-hmm.
and you go, it kind of tees into Meridian. There's
Mm-hmm.
basically an undeveloped
The
piece of land.
Rosati property.
Yeah, the Rosati property. They do have approval for the Rosati property. I think they're still somewhere between 8 to 12 months away from breaking ground on it. But one of the concessions that the builder has made to us is they're giving us a pretty substantial piece of land kind of right up against the backside of the school so that we can have more parking access for school buses, staff, and parents, which will relieve the overcrowding. But unfortunately, because it's tied to that
Property, yeah.
project taking place, we're still waiting just a little bit more time. I also think that there's a way that as the school enrollment comes down, everything comes down with it. The overcrowding comes down with it. The number of vehicles that pull into the school on a daily basis comes down with it. And Diana, I don't know if you know this, Mrs. Herbst, but sometimes we have students from HDLA walk across. Did you know that? They walk across and they actually load the bus at um, Mays. So I don't know if Mays parents know that, but there are often um, Gablin Hills HDLA kids that are actually adding to the number of kids that are in front of Mays, which has the similar effect. But I don't think we have to do that next year either, because HDLA students will be the only students at the school in 21, 22. So we'll be able to run more buses through there, which will also bring down just the overall number of bodies and vehicles that are going to pick up kids at Mays. You know, the other piece about it is that we're thinking about doing some pretty expanded after school programs for students at Mays, and we think that the number of kids who stay after school and don't get picked up
Right.
at the end of the day is going to increase by double what it is this school year. So that for those parents who do pick their kids up at, what is it, Dan, at 335, 340 or so, something like that, that number is also going to come way down, because we're planning on making some pretty substantial improvements to after school tutoring and athletics.
And just want to tell Don and everybody else here, I live right by Maze. So totally know what you're talking about. HDLA had and Gavilan Hills, and then the traffic on Maze, right on both sides. So I'm right in the middle. So and just so you know, we heard those concerns, when we were first on the board, and we right away were like, Superintendent Ochoa, what are we gonna do? So luckily, he was able to talk to these people that are planning to build, and he was able to advocate for us in that way. So know that we are thinking about it, and we hear you, and we're trying.
I wish it could happen right away, but we do have to
Yeah.
wait. Yes, Mr. Ochoa?
It is going to take a little bit more time, but I do want the parents to also know a little bit about our plans to build our own transportation department. So I don't know if parents know, but we don't actually employ any bus drivers or own any buses. We pay a company to take our kids all over town, and it's very expensive and it's very inefficient. So in order to get a contract with this company, we have to pay the drivers like a full day salary. We can't simply say, oh, we only need you from 6 to 8:15 and then from 2 to 4 o'clock. So we're only going to pay you 4.5 hours. They make us pay them the equivalent of an 8-hour day. And we're basically paying a company to have their cars, their buses parked for 3.5 to 4 hours a day. So what we're doing now is, about 2 months ago, we wrote a grant to the San Mateo Air Quality District Board, and we received a $400,000 electric bus that's actually being built for us right now. And we just submitted 2 more interest letters that will lead to an application in August for 2 more fully electric buses that will carry 84 kids. So each year for the next 2 years, we're going to write grants to get what our current maximum per year that we can get in grants is $1.3 million a year. So by the time the 22-23 school year starts, we'll own 6 buses, and we won't pay that company to run our buses anymore for us. We'll drive kids all over town. So as a parent, Taylor or Lauren or Don, we could say, all right, pick your child up at 3:40, 3:35, or if you wait 15 minutes, we'll take your kid down by your house. So you don't have to pick your child up. Your child could get on one of our buses, and it won't take them right directly to your front doorstep, but 2 blocks away, instead of going through the madness of trying to pick your kid up and say, okay, I'll pick you up at 3:45 and 3:50. And frankly, I think middle schoolers are going to tell their parents, oh, just pick me up over by the house, don't come and get me at school. So that will bring even more cars away from the school. And Carla, if you remember, the school that was kind of the poster child for the parking problems was HDLA. The cars all the way backed up to Mars Hill, and there's cars all the way up by Gilroy waiting to drop their kid off at HDLA. So what we did, if you recall, we basically created a bus schedule for HDLA, and we picked kids up all over town and dropped them off at HDLA, and that brought the vehicle problems down like majorly. So we're kind of thinking about those things for next year, to make sure that we take care of both schools, HDLA and Mays, going into next year.
To be honest with you, when Mays first opened, we had bus service for kids. And, this is back in the 90s, and kids rode the school buses. And so that area that is now used as parent pickup, that was the bus area, and the buses went in there. And we really didn't have, parent pickup was like zilch. It just wasn't done. Kids rode the bus. So, if we could get back to that kind of a situation and use these environmentally friendly buses,
Do you
I,
feel parents will take advantage of that?
I hope so. I really hope so, because one of the things, if they're not too far from the home, I rode a bus through high school from kinder to high school. And, it breeds independence, a responsibility. And as long as you're not too far from your home, that's the key. And you walk with a friend, you
Well, and
know.
think about too, a lot of our students that, we get a lot of the students on this side of town all the way to near Calaveras, right? So
Mhm.
you're talking all along the west side. So if there was a bus that could transport at least the majority of the children, the young people to that area, to Calaveras, that would help. That would
Yeah,
be
I
a help.
would, they'd have to be close to their homes for me to agree to that. I think all parents feel the same way. We have to, be realistic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have to agree, Dawn, that definitely transportation, the pickup situation is not a pretty sight, but we are working on it, and I wish it could be faster. Um, the only thing I can suggest is carpools. Try to do that as much as possible. Drop off a little bit farther from the school and let them walk a half a block. They are in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. So let them walk a half a block and not get messed up with that, the turnaround. Mr. Ochoa?
I wanted to also let the parents know that the decision a couple of years ago to add 6th grade to Sunny Slope, Lad Lane, and Sarah Vista will also have an impact of reducing vehicles going to schools, because moms and dads and grandparents and uncles and aunts who are picking kids up are going to make one trip to one school to pick up their kids. When we had kids at Sunny Slope, they were getting out at Taylor, your kids are there. You all start early. You were like 7:55, right? To like, so if you have a real little one,
2:12 or
it's like,
something.
yes, a real little one, it's like 2:26. And then if you have an older one, it's like 2:58. So then you're like, well, I better stay here or make a second turn. And then if you have a middle schooler, and then you're like, well, they get out at 3:45. So it's really 3 vehicles. So now with kids at one school, it's much more localized to that one school. And I really think this plan of the buses, the after school programs, the additional parking space that could be as early as 22, 23, along with the K-8 shift is just really going to bring the after school parking problem, or I should just say after school congestion, vehicle congestion, because it's not necessarily parking. I think it'll just keep bringing it down and down just a little bit more.
You guys anticipated the 500 mark. Is that because of the K through 8 transition, that thing? Okay.
Right now, Diane, I think you and I looked at it the other day. Was it something like 535 or 545, something like that?
Yeah, my incoming 6th graders, there's 145 incoming, and then
Yep.
there's 148 7th graders,
Yep.
and then my largest is 220. That will be
20, yeah. So, and then Rancho San Justo used to be 915 kids, and their incoming 6th grade is 190, and their incoming 7th grade is 190.
Wow.
Their incoming 8th grade is 280. So that's how fewer kids. But the other reason that's happening is because HDLA is now keeping 100 kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade when they never did before. And AAA has 60 kids a year when they used to only have 30. So it's really the combination of a lot of those different moves all happening together. Oh, and by the way, we opened up a new school up the street from Sunny Slope. So it's, it's kind of like, we're a big district. So it's like, okay, yeah, it's really 12 different things all happening at the same time. And ultimately us having a clear one path to getting kids their services and addressing, in this case, it happens to be transportation, but that's just one of many, many issues I'm sure you all want to talk about, which include behavior in schools, academic support, English, math, science, history, elective classes. So I'll turn it back over to our wonderful parents.
I don't know. I mean, I don't mind going first, and parents, I'll just jump in and say it. But so my daughter has been there the 6th through 8th, so I kind of saw the transition at the beginning to now. And any concerns I feel like I did have, our staff seems to be on top of it. I know the 6th grade year seemed like it was a little bit of a hot mess, but in 8th grade, even through COVID, there's been such a great communication between the staff. They, are really invested into the kids. All the administrative staff, Miss Herbst, Dizon, and the third is jogging my memory again. I forget. Thank you. Poor Miss Beltry. But yeah, so it's been really great. I mean, there have been some hiccups, but I feel like we're on top of it. We're trying to move past it and bringing the kids, back to where they need to be as far as that. I feel like behavioral, I don't know, I feel like that's more in the home, that just kind of transfers out. But as far as you guys handling what you can outside of the home, I feel like we're doing a pretty good job of trying to stay on top of it.
How about anybody else in regards to the behavior issues or homework issues? Communication with teachers?
For me, my son is a freshman now, but he did 6th through 8th at Mays, and then my daughter's a 6th grader now at Mays. Teachers always been super responsive to me, and I've always really tried to keep an open line of communication with them, just because I feel it's really important to have that. Not that, I don't like to micromanage or anything like that, but I do want to be in touch with my
Sure.
kids' teachers just to let them know that, I am going to respond. I'm going to, if they do something that they shouldn't be, or if they're struggling or whatever it is, I do, I would like to know. So I like to usually reach out and just let teachers know that myself. But they've always been super responsive, and we've worked together sometimes to, come to a conclusion of what would best fit the situation or whatever it might be. So I'm very grateful for that, because I've also had teachers who aren't very responsive, and that's hard sometimes when, you're dealing with your own child. So.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear. That's great to hear, because it's important that parents and the teachers, we're like um, a stool, and if we're not all supporting the child, one of those legs gets blown off, then we're not helping the child. So, absolutely. Anybody else? Diana, what's been hard for you so far this year?
I would say at the beginning, it was the distance learning and getting all of the teachers on the same page, doing the different platforms. I would say, last March and April, it was a rough start,
Hard,
but
right?
I can't even begin to tell you how it has changed from then to now, and what my teachers are able to do, and the creativity in their lessons. It's amazing. Just what our kids are able to do on these different platforms is something they really hadn't had a lot of practice with it, because there's a lot of paper pencil, right? Now it's all Google Classroom, and gosh, there are so many platforms that the teachers use. So I would say the most difficult part was just getting started with distance learning, but it's great now. I like I said, my teachers are so creative, and to see the work that kids are doing, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to what Lauren and Taylor said about behavior. Maze, and I was the assistant principal there, Jan, when you were there.
Yeah.
And the behavior on campus just last year was very different than it was even the year before. I wasn't there the year before, but I remember seeing all the pink slips or whatever.
Right.
And last year, putting PBIS in place really helped with the behavior of students, and them knowing what the expectations were and are when they're on campus. So I think that has drastically changed from, just within a year.
I agree. Even like little stuff that you guys did. Like I remember Kylie coming home saying, "Oh yeah, they painted the lunch table umbrellas, or they brought this in," and you can see the transition that you're trying to do, Miss Herbst and the staff, from the middle school to the high school. You could see that there's that transition, and it's starting to, you will eventually, it'll be a cohesive transition. But yeah, before it was just like there was a drop off, right after middle school. And so I love to see that you guys are working together, whether it's implementing things from the high school, or bringing experiences back, and seeing that, because we are trying to prepare our kids for the next step, and you did see that difference in behavior, but it took somebody to be there and available and to hear and be willing to do the work. And I appreciate that you guys have done that. It's definitely paid off or you're starting to see it pay off.
Yes.
I
We are.
think Miss Herbst, we need to give her a lot of credit for changing that, turning that school around. I think you're really humble and comparing when you
Yeah.
came on board. But and I think for the parents, can you tell us a little bit about what you see that you might need or that your students need? Just thinking about next year, and we're just coming out of this pandemic, and thinking about how Mays, how it's changed, and then just putting this out there. One of the things we talk about is equity, and Mays historically was not, you know, seen as a school that deserved certain services or certain classes. And so what do you all see as going forward for Mays, what Mays needs, and what maybe you all need too as parents?
I can go first. One thing I was kind of bummed about with my older son was, I know Rancho has wood shop, I believe. Well, I don't know if they still do, but when he was in middle school, they did. And I was really bummed that Mays didn't have that. And then also science camp. I know a lot of kids from like Calaveras and HDLA, or I think HDLA, but I know for sure Calaveras, sixth grade science camp. And I don't think my son cared so much about that as I did, but I know my daughter would have loved to go this year, if she was given the opportunity, if COVID wasn't around. And I remember that from my childhood, just, it's an awesome experience. And so I've always it's been bummed that, some things are offered to some schools in the district and not others. Because, it's hard when you see people and you know them and the kids are wondering why they weren't given the same opportunity as their friends in the same grade at a different school. The other elective classes my kids both love them, what they've had so far. So I don't have any complaints about what they do offer. I just wish they would offer a little bit more. And then I love the sports after school personally. I think I'm a big sports person, and I think that it's a great thing to offer the kids to kind of prepare them for high school a little bit, but also to give them an outlet of something to do for this. I like baseball, football, soccer is offered in town, but I know the school also offers volleyball and other things for the kids to do that aren't here in town. So I think it's good at middle school to offer that. And I'm thankful for it also. It keeps kids out of trouble. So, and yeah, builds camaraderie. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of that. So I am grateful. I don't know if it's possible, but like maybe expand who we play would be kind of a cool thing, I think, because I know we used to play Spring Grove in some sports, and I don't think Southside, but I know the last year Robert was at school, it was kind of just Rancho. Yeah. So I don't know if we could go, to the other districts or even Gilroy and Watsonville might be too far, but I feel like in the past, older kids I know have played Watson
I remember we would wrestle and we'd go in Salinas with
right.
Even
yes.
But,
right. Yeah. So
can I ask a dumb question? What is it? So certain schools like Rancho has other things that they offer that ours doesn't. Is that pretty standard, or can somebody break that down for me?
Well, initially, when we first opened, we did have a wood shop, and wood shop is very difficult to find a teacher. And we went through, California and its ups and downs with their budget systems. And when we hit a down time, first they couldn't find a woodshop teacher. The district, that's what they told us. They couldn't find one. And then they started taking broken parts that were broken in the at the Rancho wood shop, and they started stealing the parts from Mays to fix the wood shop at Rancho till they picked, picked it clean, and they turned the Rancho wood shop into a music room.
Mm.
So, that's I'm giving you the history as I know it as a teacher when I was at Mays. Um, on the science camp, I'm going to be very honest with you. We tried to do it when we first opened, but what to compete with the other to compete, we could not get enough children to go to the science camp. The parents could not afford it. So it was the haves and the have nots. And so we, as a faculty at that time, felt that it was so discriminatory that we just couldn't, our consciences, we couldn't allow it to continue because it was very obvious. It was the people that could afford,
Mhm.
their kids went, and the people that could not afford, they couldn't go.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens in middle school is fundraising is very difficult to do. And so that's why Science Camp stopped at Mays. And,
But I think it would be good to, if we could ask Superintendent Ochoa to give us a little bit of information on the potential exciting things that we
well, I'm
can
just giving them
do.
the history. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I just want them to understand why things happened the way they did.
Right.
And is there room for improvement? Absolutely. Um, but all of these things we have to look at in the, we're going to be a lot smaller. There's going to be a lot less students.
Mhm.
And but science camp is expensive. Can it be funded through different ways? Maybe so.
Mhm.
Because right now the state of California, a child's not supposed to spend a dime. So I don't know how
Jen,
science camp can even be happening when parents aren't supposed to pay for it.
yeah.
I don't know how that happens, Mr. Ochoa. How does that happen legally?
Yeah, well, I think we all know schools do it as they please,
Yeah.
even if it's not supposed to happen. I do want to give Diane, Mrs. Herbst, I would love for you to talk a little bit about your plans with Paxton Patterson, to just kind of help the parents understand what's coming down the pike, because I think it's very exciting.
I am
And
so excited.
yeah.
So, just to go back to what Lauren had said about the electives and not having wood shop and having different programs at different schools. So when I got hired at Mays, I loved the CTE program at San Benito High School. There are so many opportunities for the kids to decide what career path they want to take, plus take, classes for college.
Can you tell everybody what CTE means?
It's the career technical education. So I took a tour of a middle school in Salinas that had a program through Paxton Patterson, and they were modules that the kids were doing, such as robotics, um, culinary, woodworking, framing a house, electrical. They had all these modules in this classroom. So then I went to San Benito High School. I looked at their CTE program, and I got together with Mr. Ochoa and the representative from Paxton Patterson, and we came up with the modules at Mays that will get our kids excited about what they could then do when they get to San Benito High School. So we purchased it last year, but of course COVID hit and we didn't get to do it this year. But my two teachers who have been trained have been doing the online version of Paxton Patterson. which isn't the same as the hands-on, but it's been working. But some of our modules, we do have culinary, we have a woodworking area, we have motor, working on a motor, we have health. Like I think there's how to do CPR, and there we have so many modules, and we have it for 6th grade, which is taught by Matt Hudson, and then I have it for 7th and 8th grade, which is taught by Barbara Penny. So I'm really excited to start with these classes next year, where the kids are really getting that hands-on, and like I said, they connect to what is already being done at San Benito High School.
I have a visual for that. I want to show the group here. It'll just, oh, okay. My host hasn't enabled participant screen sharing, but he's watching this meeting. And I guarantee you in a minute he will. The Paxton Patterson has a video that I'm not going to show because we're doing this live meeting. But once that capability is assigned, there we go. It's that fast. Take a look at. All right, this is one picture that tells you everything. These are the kinds of lessons that our students at both Rancho and Mays are going to be doing in person live next year. So you see there's a female student who's doing recording of audio, like music recording, like sound recording. You see she's got the specialized mic, she's got the computer software that connects to that specific high-end computer. You see next to her, there's a girl that's fixing a sink, that is learning how to do plumbing. You see above that, there's kids. I can't tell if it's a boy or a girl, but you can see that the student is fixing a small engine. They're basically working on some kind of mechanical problem. And then on the right-hand side, you see that there are 2 students that are basically learning about venipuncture. They're learning about, drawing blood, basically. And that is a simple picture that explains what Mrs. Herbst just finished talking about for the last few minutes, which is our kids are going to be doing what's called small modules. So those modules are based on things that we know they could possibly learn at San Benito High School. And that was really important for us, that it be something that could almost, I guess, Mrs. Herbst, would you say our goal was to really inspire them? To be like, yes, I want to keep learning about this when I get older, because with us, it's more of an introduction. It's more of smaller modules, but here's the cool thing. So your teacher is teaching plumbing, electrical, video production, construction, all at the same time. So what the students are experiencing is we put them in these little groups of 3 to 4 kids, and they're working on projects together. The teacher is not talking for 45 minutes about fixing plumbing. She's giving you a handbook that you and 2 other kids have, and you basically have 60 minutes in the class to start working on it. And the teacher just goes from group to group asking questions. How can I help you? Let's look at your manual. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of like almost taking it back to like when we were in school, where we were told to work on things and figure things out, and not given everything so
Hand-fed,
Yes.
not so hand-fed, like we want you to work on this, we want you to understand this. And the way I look at it is, to me, it's the beginning of what we could be doing.
Right.
So we're pretty excited about that.
I'm really excited about this. And basically the teacher is acting like a facilitator, because it is very self-driven by the student. And each module is designed to be at least 10 days, 10 to 12, maybe 10 to 15 days. And then you move on to the next module. So with our class sizes getting, not sizes, but as our class as a whole is getting smaller, it's allowing me to have Barbara Penny, for instance, instead of having one elective, STEAM elective, she can have 3 or 4. So now we get more kids exposed to this program. And then I also have it in 6th grade with Mr. Hudson. So next year, instead of him doing just 1 elective, he's going to have 2. So we get more kids.
So we're really, let's see, what time do we have right now? How are we
It
on
is
time?
7:19.
Good. Mr. Cho, could you talk to the parents about how we're trying to change the culture of our schools?
Yeah, there's an important meeting for parents who want to be on our YouTube live stream tomorrow night. The focus of it is what we're calling equity for all students, dismantling the school to prison pipeline. And over the last 5 years, what we've seen, and Taylor, you referenced it, you said it was kind of it was just kind of out of control. It was not a good culture a couple of years ago at Mays Middle School. It was constant fights. It was the videos of fights. It was the drama. It was the cell phones. If you remember, we still had cell phones everywhere on campus. And what it was also leading to was we were actually starting to see the rates of kids getting arrested and the rates of kids ending up in juvenile hall and the rates of kids ending up in jail go really, really high in our community. And those are our students. Those are our Mays students, and those are our Rancho San Justo students, which also then become San Benito High School students. So what we have been doing for the last year is we've been working to change our schools' discipline plans and to change our schools' behavioral plans and to increase and improve the way we train our staff to work with students. So our plan going into next year is to train every single employee at Mays Middle School in something called trauma-informed practices. And what that means is when a child comes to school and they have a reaction to an adult or to another kid that is really severe or really unusual, like super, super quiet and withdrawn or really, really angry, there's a very strong likelihood that that child is going through some kind of trauma at home. Like they showed up and you said good morning to them and they said the F word to you. Like that's not usual. Something is going on with this kid. In previous years, that might result in a suspension and go home because you said the F word to the superintendent in the morning. And what we're going to train our staff to do this year is we're going to train our staff to learn how to talk to children and how to understand children. And we've hired additional mental health therapists and social workers that are going to work at Mays Middle School so that when 2 kids get into an argument at lunch and one student says something that's really, really hurtful to another student, when that comes to our attention, and it will, the child will come to the office crying or tell their teacher that they're upset. In previous years, we would suspend the student that said the really mean comment and send that student home. So that student basically has 2 choices. It's kind of a day off, right? Or I'm mad at this kid because she got me in trouble. She snitched on me. We would almost always send the student home on a suspension and never discuss the conduct with them because we're too busy. We're like overwhelmed. When I got hired, we had 1 assistant principal and 1 counselor for the school. And the school had 800 kids. Next year, Mrs. Herbst is going to have herself 2 full-time assistant principals and 2 counselors or social workers. So she's going to have 5 people to help 520 kids as opposed to 3 people to help 800 kids. So we feel that we've found the right match of adults to kids, and we're going to train the adults in how to do trauma informed, so to try to understand how kids' behavior relates to what's going on at home. And then secondarily, train all the staff in something called positive behavior intervention supports, which tries to teach children how their behavior can positively impact their classrooms and their peers and their school community, so that we're consistently bringing the positive out of kids and not always only focusing on the negatives in terms of behavior. And we really think that the work that we're doing is going to result in the kind of school when I say that mean comment to my classmate at lunch, I end up meeting with a school counselor that helps me understand how the comment I made to my classmate, why it hurt them so bad, and get me to write that letter of apology to say, hey, I'm sorry that I said that comment to you. And here's this letter that shows you that I understand that I hurt your feelings. And now I'm less likely to act that way again to somebody else. In the past, it would have been, I hurt Taylor's feelings today. Next Monday is going to be Dawn. 2 weeks later, I'm going to say something horrible to Mrs. Herbst. A month later, you know what I'm saying? Where it just kind of keeps building up. And we think this new system is going to help catch that behavior early, reteach it, make them do what's called restoring the harm that they caused. And then we'll see those suspension rates come way down, which will actually improve academics school-wide, because now kids are in class more and are behaving more in line with what the school's asking for. And I know it's a big task, but it's taking a lot of our attention right now. And I wanted to share that with parents and give you an opportunity to ask Mrs. Herbst or me just any questions about how that system will work in terms of the counseling, the changes in the discipline policy, and then the levels of support that we can provide these kids. So we're open for any questions or ideas you all have.
I do want to say what I've been working with the staff on, thinking ahead for next year, is how can we during our school day support our students with that social emotional piece. And so we've been brainstorming about how to fit that into our daily schedule with our students, and really creating kind of like a homeroom or an advisory time where it's a smaller class and it's a lot of building relationships and maybe doing some restorative justice circles. And because we know that when all of our kids come back, they're going to need those needs. I mean, they're going to need those needs met. So we've just been brainstorming and, doing a check-in, check-out, looking over grades, focusing on, just, hey, how's it going at home? Checking in. So I have all these ideas. It's just getting to it and doing it in August. And what is it going to look like? We're in our second year of PBIS, and we do have our expectations that we go over daily with our students. And I've noticed a big difference in, like I said, just in a year with behavior and recognizing those positive behaviors instead of the whole focus being on the negative. So, we have a lot of work to do, but I know we're on the right path. I know it.
Well, I think that many of us are worried about our children being away so long, and even though they're going to school for a few hours every day, it's still not like a full day of school, and it's not like eating lunch and having break, and it's not, next year is really, when it's going to be normal again. And so a lot of us have fear about how our child's going to be and how are they going to feel and mesh in. And I think that this new culture that we're going to try to give to all of our schools and all of our children, and one of the hardest parts of middle school is sometimes just that side look, that one comment, that snide comment, and our feelings get hurt. Um, we don't take it the right way, and so we need to give our children a way to express themselves so they can say that that didn't make me feel well. And I think that we're trying to set up, and I know that Mrs. Serps is doing everything that she can to give a avenue for students to express that so that we can. And so as parents, if your children come home, I think the biggest thing we want to say is that we need we need our parents to know that we want to hear from you, because we do have a lot of people at school that can help your child. And Mrs. Herbst will guide you to the right person, or she will help herself. Anything
Are
to
you
add
finding
to that?
that you want to get back to partnering with the parents instead of just, is that what you guys are trying to do?
Absolutely. We
Yeah.
really want, to have an effective, high performing school. Parents must be a big, big part of that. We cannot do it without your support. No school is going to be successful without the parent support. It just doesn't happen. Any school, any school district that you look at, it's three pronged. It's the parent support, it's great administrators and great teachers. And those three together make great schools and students that are learning. And I'm Mr. Ochoa, do you agree? Yeah.
I think one thing that our board is doing that no other district I've ever been in is doing is they're saying taking the time to talk to parents at each of our schools is a priority that we want to continue month after month, and basically as we move forward. We talked about it at our December board meeting, but this is not a one-year project for this board. This is a change in culture. So, for Carla Torres de Luna and for Jan, yourselves at this meeting, it's your way of staying connected to parent voices, because it's one thing for us to ask parents to help us. It's another thing for us to say, let's do this together. And I think that's what this board is trying to do. That's very unusual, because most school boards, it's so much pressure and so hard to kind of get it right or feel like you're getting it right for everybody. But you all are saying, let's just go out and talk to these parents and find out what they need and find out what they think. And I think a year from now, we're going to be pretty glad that we did all this.
So we're just asking for your opinions, your help, your communication, and you can email us, you can call us, and I know that Mrs. Herbst and Mr. Ochoa want to hear from you. We respect your opinions. Your opinions count, and we want to make the schools better. And that's the reason that we're here tonight, is to hear from you. And we've gotten some good ideas from you so far, and we've talked about some good things. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? How about homework? What do you guys think about homework? Too much, not enough, forget about it?
Don't ask the students.
No, I'm asking the parents.
In case the students are in the background.
I mean, for me, it's always been a decent amount. I think for as a parent and as a teacher also, I mean, it's hard because personally, I have kids not turning in homework. So that's a whole different factor, but it's nice as a parent to kind of see what your child's doing in class, because they might not tell you or they may not relay it, but if they bring homework home, or if you can see, you know, now distance learning, I can see it on the computer, what my daughter's doing. It just kind of keeps that connection a little bit. But it also helps with the independence, I feel like it, you know, more of a, it's not so much like elementary where I kind of, okay, did you do your homework? Let's look over it and turn it in. Middle school's more, show me your homework so I could see what you're doing. And, you know, if you need help, I'm here. But really, like my daughter does, she's pretty independent. Both my older kids are. So it's more of like kind of an insight to what they're learning and what they're doing. And for me, that's why I do like it. I mean, of course, kids aren't going to like it, but it's been a good amount. I don't feel like my kids have ever been, you know, up till 9 o'clock from right after school doing homework or anything like that. It's always been just enough, I feel. Right.
Okay. Taylor?
I agree. I think it's been a really good amount, nothing too strenuous. At the same time, you know, we're trying to prepare them too for high school, which depending on whatever pathway they go, they're going to be having a significant amount. So I think if we kind of dumb it down a little bit, it's just kind of setting them up to just kind of get rebounded in high school, you know. And I think that our students are bright. Our students are bright. And I think if you can push them, they'll hit that mark. It's just cultivating that atmosphere of academic excellence, right? So they'll get there. We just got to push them a little bit.
I love that. Cultivating academic excellence. How about you, Dawn? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they get the perfect amount because like how Lauren was saying that I like to know what my kids are doing, you know, and if they don't have any homework coming home, then you have no idea what they're doing in class. And you kind of, you know, of course they do it on their own, but I like to see, oh, what's your homework? What'd you do today? And half the time, if they weren't to have homework, they'd be like, oh, I don't remember what I did. So it's nice. I think right now, I think they're getting the perfect amount. And even like last year, you know, before distance learning started, I thought they were getting the perfect amount. It would be some days, you know, Austin would come home and be like, well, I have a lot of homework. And I'm like, he would be done in an hour. That's a lot of homework to him. So, but he does his work real quick. But so I think their teachers are giving them the perfect amount right now. It's to where the parents can still stay connected with their kids and know what they're doing. But it's not too much where it's 3 hours of homework or whatever. So I personally think that it's been great for my son.
Okay. Interesting. I'm kind of shocked that you said that. So that's interesting. It's good to hear.
We have to ask, Jen.
I know. It's good to hear. When I was teaching history, lots of times I would let them start in class and walk around and help the ones. And then if they didn't finish, they had to finish his homework, you know. And sometimes they did, you know, they had to finish. But I tried to always make sure, because I always like to make sure they had time to do their math and their language arts. So I kind of felt that was like a big priority because I was never very good at math. So I wanted them to have time to do their math because they always got a lot of math homework. So do you feel that they have a lot of math homework? Yes, no? No? Okay. All right. Carla, do you have anything else to say?
I want to hear maybe in the rest of the time from each of the parents if there's anything else, you know, that they want to share.
Lauren?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I've just had a really positive experience at Mays. My daughter actually chose to go to Mays. She was at AAA and she chose to go to Mays instead of staying, and she's really doing great. Yeah, she's doing really, really well. Like I said, it's been a really great experience for both of the kids that I've had go there. My third will probably go there as well. And I love the open communication. Diane, the office staff has always been super helpful. The teachers, even PE teachers, I go to the conferences, parent conferences, and communicate with them. So I've always been very happy line of communication with their academics as well, like all the curriculum, but also rewarding. Like I feel like they not only learn but enjoy it. Not so simple that I feel like kids aren't gonna see in high. So I mean, I don't have things to say.
I only have good stuff to say, so. I feel we've had a great experience through Mays. Now, I have noticed a big difference from when Diana wasn't there to now when Diana's there. What a difference. I mean, it has improved, I would say 90%. And I mean, my kids were never real troublemakers, so I didn't have that much trouble, but I mean, I would see it because I was always on campus a lot because I worked with the PTO. So I saw a lot of stuff, and what a difference it is now. I mean, I really commend Diana for all that she's done.
Yeah, it's amazing what a principal will do.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have nothing bad to say. Thank you, Diana.
Oh, thank you. Can't do it without my team, so.
Yeah.
And me neither. Positive experience as well. I mean, the outside could use a little sprucing up since we're here. I mean,
Okay.
but other than that, yeah, it's a great experience. You guys are doing a great job and you're on track.
Can I, Carla and Jan, can I talk just a little bit about the athletic fields project that's
Yes.
happening right now?
Yes, please.
The Mays students use a large field just next to the basketball courts, and then they use a somewhat smaller field that has a track around it. And the district has gone through a process of renovating fields at Aro Hardin, Calaveras, Rancho San Justo, and now Mays. And so in about a month, I want you guys to go out and walk your dogs and take your family out for a walk around that track, because what our team has done is they've basically gone about 6 inches under the soil. They've removed all of the grass that was there before, which was heavily weeded and about 15 different types of grass out there. They've gotten rid of all of the gopher holes and completely recompacted the soil. And tomorrow they're going to spray the new grass seed out there. It takes about 4 weeks of watering. We're lucky that it's going to be nice and warm over the next couple of weeks. But your kids are going to play on some really beautiful fields. Basically by the end of May, they'll be ready to go. So we're excited about that because we think it's going to make more kids get excited about playing soccer and softball and baseball and, just being athletic and just being, I don't know, just being physical, being outside and feeling like they can play on the field that we care about and we took care of for them. So I'm just excited about that. I think it's going to be a really noticeable, huge thing for your school. And it's only a month away, so we're pretty pumped up about it.
Absolutely.
I think it's good that you all are saying positive things, and we're not asking you to tell us negative things if you don't have any in your mind. And I think too, I just want to pose a question to you parents about what are your ideas, if you have any, about Dawn, you mentioned you were on campus. What are some ideas that you think we could maybe, once it's safe, encourage parents to participate more and to, not necessarily during school, they don't have to do that, but how do we get parents to, that's a magical question, right?
Yes, that is a magical question. Because with every single Gablin Hills I was, Sunny Slope I was involved, Mays I was involved. It's only your certain amount, your 4 or 5 people, and that is it. So I have no idea. I mean, we tried so many things. When I was at Gablin Hills, we had about 6 of us that were really a close knit. And I mean, that was probably our best PTO that we had. But it was so hard to get other people. I mean, we tried everything. We tried, doing a raffle for at the PTO meetings and doing all different stuff. And it was always the same exact people. So that is a question. That's an answer. If someone knows, well, that's great, because I have never heard anybody, every place, every school asks that. They're like, how do we get parents to help or to participate? Or even like you said, even not necessarily during school, because there's a lot of parents that both of them work, so you can't. But even after school, it's hard. It is really hard. Yeah, even like with the 8th grade graduation and stuff, it would start out 30 people would come to the meeting, and then by 8th grade graduation, you got 5 people that are working on the whole entire. And that's how, and it was like, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I wish I did, but yeah, I have no idea with that one.
Is it possible? I know at Sunny Slope, Joe Rivas did something like a family fiesta. He got just a family to come together, do dinner at the school. Is that something possible in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade? With as many.
Yeah, we've done barbecues before. We've had family barbecues before. We have done that. We've had ice cream socials before. It has been done. It takes everybody willing to come out and to do. And if we can inspire the staff and the parents to come out and help, that's what it takes. And what would be a good time? Because the problem is the commuting. So what's a good time for the parents? What do you guys think?
I think maybe, for me, evenings obviously are best. But if there's like not necessarily back to school night, but an open house or something, and you do something along those lines of like a fiesta, or maybe add a theme to it, or like you said, an ice cream social. I think for most parents, evenings are probably better. Or I'd be willing on the weekend. I don't know if all parents are, but I know you run into sports and stuff like that then.
But what time in the evening? Like, is it 6:30? Should it be 5:30? Because you also run into the sports.
Right.
Especially in middle school.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever really going to be a perfect time, right? Because you have, like, my husband and I are both usually off by like 3:34, depending, and then you have some people commuting who don't get into town till 6 or 7 or later. So maybe at one point in the year offer something a little earlier, and then later in the year offer something a little later. Or if you, with enough advance notice, maybe someone can leave work a little early or go in a little late, do a breakfast or something. I always think, again, referring back to sports, just because I always think something like a parent versus kids basketball game, or, I know my son in 8th grade, it was against the teachers, and he loved that. They were like saying how all week they'd been talking to the teachers, that they were going to win, and you know, they didn't stand a chance. And even just to watch it was so fun, because again, you're just building that connection between the kids and the teachers. But something with parents, even I know a lot of people who would probably do something like that. I mean, kids of course want to, you know, challenge their parents and then win. But it's fun to watch. It's then other kids want to watch, even if they can't play, you know, because they know it's going to be fun, and maybe see some parents fall or, you know, I always think stuff like that is fun. So
That's a great idea. And maybe even with the new field, you know, we could have an
right.
excuse of a reopening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a
Kid
awesome idea.
sponsor. Yeah.
Yes.
Or you put parents, faculty versus kids, you know,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Even like an Olympics type thing, like a sack race or three-legged race, or, you know, anything along those lines, I think would be, depending on the theme, would just be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are good ideas. And do
And
like
then
a
can I
nice
share?
group.
I think you may start to see more parent involvement with when things start to shift as they are. You know, I think you'll see that when parents are letting their guards down, they're more, you know, vulnerable and open to being involved and stuff like that. So I think we're really on a good track, you know, because I think that you'll start to see that naturally happen.
Well, I think people, you know, with the pandemic and the lockdown and stuff, I think people want to reach out and they want to be back together. And I think, you know, people want to go back to normalcy. So I'm hoping that you're right, that it is the right time, Taylor, for everybody that wants to get together and to feel like human beings again. You know, I think people are ready for that. And Diana and her team are so hospitable that everybody wants that. I agree with you.
I agree.
And that's the thing too, is that you feel safe now dropping your kid off, knowing, you could see you know who your principal is, and you have they're personable. I mean, Dana knows exactly students' names and students' parents, and before the pandemic, she was out there every day waving, and our staff still does that, which is pretty cool. So even prior to the pandemic, I think our parents are going to start to let their guard down because they're going to feel it's safe. It's a safe and comfortable environment now. And hopefully they'll get involved.
Well, yeah. And with our change in, you know, we're not going to have police officers on the campus anymore. We're going to have social workers and, you know, helping our children work through their issues in a positive, um, emotionally healthy way. We're not going to be suspending kids right and left. We're going to help them work out their issues so that they feel better about themselves. I mean, we're really going to try to be very, very positive and help, you know, stop the stigmatism um, you know, this feeling bad about yourself and that I'm no good. You know, we need to stop that. We need to make kids feel good about themselves and feel positive and that they can learn and that they will learn. So that's what we're trying to do. Mr. Ochoa.
You know what I feel good about too, Jan, is that the school has gotten smaller, but the district has given the school more resources.
Mm-hmm.
We are not asking your principal and her team of, by the way, the aides, the secretaries, everyone, the teachers, these are all good human beings. These are good people.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not giving them less. We're giving them more. We're not taking people away and saying, well, you don't have as many kids, so you don't give as much help. We're saying we want our middle schools to shine. We have 2 middle schools, right? We want our middle schools to be the kind of places where it's kind of hard for kids to decide if they want to stay at Sunny Slope, because going to Mays is like, oh, I want to go to Mays. Not, remember, Taylor, you were in these meetings with me 2 years ago, and you were saying, well, you and others were like, you're not going to have anyone at those middle schools. You're going to have like,
Yeah.
all the kids are going to want to stay at Sunny Slope. And they're doing a good job of making it so that these kids do want to go to our middle schools, and they're smaller, but they're happy to be there. So I just wanted to say that I just feel proud that even though the schools are getting smaller, we're saying, you know what, let's put an awesome STEM program there. Let's add AVID there. Let's bring sports back to the school. Let's make their fields better. Let's give the principal an extra counselor she didn't have before. Let's give the principal an assistant principal that they didn't have before. And doing it so that we can see these teenagers just thrive, just improve, grow, because none of us could imagine what it's like to be a teenager right now during COVID.
No.
Like, it's just crazy what these kids have gone through. So I just feel like very proud that our district is doing that for all of our students at Mays.
Mhm.
Yes.
And obviously, we've got some tremendous parents that are guiding our children. Thank you so much for coming and joining in and helping us. I've got a page full of really good notes here that I'm so proud that you guys showed up, and please, the phone is open. You know, our numbers are on the website. Email us. The door is always open. Okay, please. And call Diana. I know she wants to hear from you, and so does Diego. So please feel free. The door is always open.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anybody want to say anything else before we say goodnight?
No,
This
I
was
do
really-
want to say thank you to Jan and Carla and Diego for the support you've given to Maze and to me and my team and my entire staff. So I really, really appreciate what you do for us.
Yeah, thank you. That's what we need to do. That's our job. That's our job. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Nice meeting you all.
Thank
Yep,
you.
nice meeting
Thanks,
everybody.
Taylor, John, Lauren.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.